Hello and welcome to or back to Oh My Bookishness. Happy New Year! We're off to a rough start already. It kind of feels like the world is crumbling around us. But despite all of the awful stuff that happened in 2025 and all the awful stuff that will happen in 2026, at least we've still got books, right? That sounded kind of pessimistic for this channel. And I don't want to be a downer, but let's be honest, there's going to be awful things that happen both on a global and personal scale in 2026. And somehow we're going to have to keep trucking through it. And it's not going to be fun, it's not going to be easy. But with all of the bad things that happen, there will also be lots of good moments too. Some small, some big, and some that we probably won't even remember. I'm sure in 2025 there were lots of moments that I will never recall that were happy. Moments of good food, a hug that feels just right, laughing with friends, an interaction with a stranger that makes me feel more connected to the world, a pretty sunset on the drive home from work while a song that I like plays on the radio, and of course, reading a book curled up on the couch with my cat beside me. Since books are good moments that I can share with you, I wanted to just make a video and share some of my favorite books and other media that I enjoyed in 2025. Per usual, I must tell you about the book that I am currently reading. And I'll be honest, I can't tell you that much about it because I started to fall asleep when I was reading the first chapter. I am currently reading Before the Coffee Gets Cold. It is our book club book for the book club that I lead at the library where I work, and it is about a cafe in Tokyo, I believe, and you can time travel, but only until your coffee gets cold or something like that. But that's my current read. I also want to mention Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies because I have been reading this book since October 20th. And I'm not done with it yet, so it won't be one of my top 2025 books, but it would be if I had finished it in 2025. And the reason it's been taking me so long to read it is because it's written in a diary format. And I just so happened to open this book on October 20th, which is the first day of the diary entries in the book. And so I decided to read it in real time. So I only read on days that there's a diary entry. And as much fun as that is, it also kind of sucks because I think the last entry was on Christmas, so I got to read one on Christmas, but the next one's not until January 30th. And we're at like the exciting part in the book and it's driving me crazy. However, it is really fun to read it this way because there's other things that when I'm reading them, I'm like, oh, if I had just been reading this chapter and then this chapter immediately after, I would have thought this happened really fast. But because I had to experience the actual amount of time between those chapters, it's like, oh my gosh, finally this happened. So I am really enjoying that. I'm sure it will be one of my top books of 2026 once I actually get it finished. Sorry if you can hear the furnace. With that out of the way, let's jump into my actual top books of 2025. I didn't put these in any particular order because my brain is not working well enough to actually weigh them against each other. So it's just gonna be kind of a random order. I'm not saying that they're all equal. Like, they're not all equally my favorite. Some I like more than others, but I also just don't feel like ranking them. So it's a secret which ones are my actual favorites. Okay, first we're gonna start with graphic novels, and the first one that I want to mention is called They Called Us Enemy by George Takei. It is a graphic memoir. You may know George Takei from Star Trek. He's an actor, and his family, when he was a kid, were sent to internment camps during World War II. I didn't know about any of this until recently, which is crazy because I am in my late 20s. So you would think that I would have learned about this at some point before now. But I didn't know about the Japanese internment camps in the United States during World War II. And this graphic novel really goes into detail about what all of that was about and why that all happened. So that was really cool. And then it really cemented the story in my mind, because for school, because if you didn't know, I'm back in school. Ooh. For school, I had to do a project about the Japanese internment camps. So that it's a really well-written story, and just so fascinating if you like to learn about history and the actual awful history of the United States. It's a really good one. It's a little hard to read because it's sad, but it's hopeful at the end, and it's really a good story. Then the second one is also a graphic memoir. It is called Mexikid by Pedro Martin. And this one, it was really long for a graphic novel, but it was so good. And I've been thinking about it all year. I read it at the beginning of 2025, but it still keeps like popping up in my brain. It was really good. A lot of it takes place in the 70s, and a lot of it reminds me of stories that my dad told me, because he lived in Mexico for a little bit in the 70s with his brothers, and the main character of this story lives in Mexico. Well, he's not living in Mexico, he's visiting Mexico to help move his abuelo back to the United States, but he's there with like all of his siblings, and just some of the stories in it kind of remind me of stories that my dad has told me about his childhood. So I just found it really interesting, and the artwork was beautiful, and the storytelling was really good and heartfelt. And then I wanted to mention We Could Be Magic by Marissa Meyer. You probably know that I am a huge Marissa Meyer fan. I'll read anything that she puts out. But she has technically released 2 graphic novels before this. They were part of the Lunar Chronicles series, but this is her first standalone graphic novel. And it was so cute. It takes place at a amusement park inspired by like Disney World. And the main character is she's working there as like different food stations and things like that. Like she starts at the Nacho Hut or whatever. But she really wants to audition for the role of like the main princess of the park. But for various reasons, because they don't think that she has like the right body type, because she doesn't really know how to dance that well, different things like that, she doesn't get the role. So this is but she does get another role at the park, and so it's kind of about her playing this other character, wanting to be the main character, and all of the things that kind of spiral out from that. And there's also a little romance in there, as Marissa Meyer always includes. So yes, this one was super cute. I loved it, and the artwork is gorgeous. The character designs are so fun. And then last on the graphic novel list, I wanted to mention the series Suitor Armor by Purpa, I think is the author's name. It's one that is a, what do they call them? Webtoon Unscrolled. So Webtoon is like an app where you can read different webcomics, and they've recently been releasing various webcomics as comic books, which I love. So I like that I can now read the webtoons in book format and then close it, set it aside, rather than just scrolling on my phone for hours and hours and hours and hours. In the Suitor Armor series, there is the main character who, she's a fairy, and she's living in a world that's very anti-fairy. And she's working as basically the lady in waiting for, I don't think she's a princess, but she's like a noble woman of some sort. And while she is helping her noblewoman kind of move into this new court that she's marrying into, there is a sentient suit of armor that is brought about, and she's kind of maybe starting to have a crush on this suit of armor. It's really cute. I love the artwork so much, and it's very just sweet and cute and like a little bit swoon worthy. You know, I enjoy it very much. I'm excited for the next volume to be released. Okay, on to the regular books. The first one was another one of our book club books for the library. It's called The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff, and it was so fun. Oh my goodness. It dealt with a lot of serious topics too, but I felt like overall it had a very comedic tone to it. It's about this woman named Gita, and she lives in a rural village in India. Her husband went missing 5 years ago, and she didn't kill him, but everybody in her village thinks that she killed him. And as the story goes on, the other women in the village start to ask her to murder their husbands as well, because they're tired of being married to them. And their husbands are awful. But it was kind of a long book. I listened to it as an audio. I think it was like 13 hours long, but it was so good. And I highly recommend the audiobook, especially because I did not know a lot of the words, and I would not have been able to like know how to pronounce a lot of the words reading it. But having like the audiobook narrator read everything in there was really cool, and it kind of helped you like figure out the context of the words since they don't translate them. The audiobook was really good, and just like overall it was a really interesting and fun story. I didn't know a lot about rural India before reading this, so it was very cool to learn more about that culture. Okay, and then we have another Marissa Meyer book on this list because of course. So this book is called The House of Saphir, or The House Saphir. And it is a Bluebeard retelling, which growing up, Bluebeard was a fairy tale that just fascinated me. I highly recommend reading the actual fairy tale, although this wasn't so much a retelling of it as it was like a sequel a century later kind of situation. I will say this is definitely not my favorite of Marissa Meyer's books. It's not my least favorite, but it's not my favorite. But it's Marissa Meyer, so it's still 5 stars. This one is kind of more of a horror book than she usually writes. It's like a horror mystery sort of situation. There's a lot of murder and violence in it. So if that's not your thing, then maybe skip this one. But I thought it was really fun. I was a little bit confused because I'm pretty sure it's set in the same world as her Gilded duology, which I was not expecting going into it, but they have the same pantheon of made-up gods in this. So I think it's the same world as the Gilded and Cursed duology. So if you haven't read those, I don't think you need to read them because I don't think there were too many callbacks to that. I think it was just the pantheon of gods, but that was kind of confusing. And it doesn't end on a cliffhanger, but the way it ends definitely leaves me wanting more. So I'm hoping that she'll write a sequel someday in the future, but we'll see. And then next up we have Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder. This is an adult fantasy book, and I will say I loved the first one. I read the second and the third one this year also and did not enjoy them as much. I kind of felt like I was trudging through those ones. This one I gobbled up. It was so good. It's kind of more not political. It's more like schemes than it is fantasy. There is a fantasy element to it, but there's definitely lots of schemes happening. Very much Six of Crows type schemes of escape and breaking in and out of places and crime and things like that, but within a palace setting. The main character in this is set to be executed, but she is taken upstairs and the captain of the guard or the king's spies or whatever, not the king, there's no king, but the captain of some sort of military thing, he says, hey, we can either kill you or we can offer you the job of poison tester for the guy who's like in charge of their country. And she's like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. But the catch is that every day she is fed poison that won't affect her until like the next day, but the next day she would die unless she takes the antidote. So she has to stay within a certain distance of the palace because if she goes too far, then she won't get her daily antidote and she will die. It's really good. I think the political machinations in it kind of reminded me of the Cruel Prince series by Holly Black. And there's a little bit of romance in this, but like the romance kind of bored me, honestly. It was definitely more like, oh, I want to see what this girl gets up to. Like, what is she doing? Where is she going? Okay, and then for the first time ever, a thriller book has made it onto my list of favorites for the year, and that one is called A Killing Cold by, who's it by? Kate Alice Marshall. And I'll be honest, this wasn't that like spectacular of a thriller book. I read a few thrillers now and then, just kind of, because they're easy to read through quickly. So I don't read a ton of them, but of the ones that I have read, I think this might be my favorite. I just really liked how things worked out between the characters. I won't say too much, but this one is about a girl who doesn't have a lot of childhood memories from before a certain time. She remembers like her foster parents, but she doesn't remember her birth parents or the things that led to her becoming an orphan. But she's an adult now and she's engaged to a very rich man. And so the rich man is taking her to his family's mountain, basically. They have a lodge on this mountain that they go to every Christmas. And so he's taking her there to kind of meet the entire family and to be part of their holiday celebrations. It is definitely a more adult book, both because of the violence and because of other themes in the book. But I thought it was really good. It was definitely one of my favorite thrillers that I have ever read. Okay, and then I have Between the Water and the Woods by Simone Snaith. This one, I actually ordered this from Thrift Books, I think, a few years ago. And the only reason I ordered it, I had never heard of it before, but it was cataloged under graphic novels. And I was looking for some good graphic novels and I saw the cover. I'm like, that looks like it'd be a really good graphic novel. It's not a graphic novel. It is illustrated, but it's not a graphic novel. It's I'd say YA, but could be read as a middle grade book. This one is about a girl who lives in this remote village in this made up country, and there are monsters in the woods. And she, per the law, she and her brother, who also saw the monster, have to go to the capital and tell the king about the monster and hopefully get some reinforcements for their village to take care of the monster and save all the villagers. But the thing that she finds out is that she has magical abilities, and that's kind of suspicious, and she shouldn't really talk about that. But anyway, I won't say too much because I don't want to spoil it. It was more steampunk than I thought. There was a lot of like steam-powered things in this. I thought it was going to be more of just a traditional fantasy, but it is steampunk, which was kind of cool. And the reason it is on this list is because it was really exactly what I was looking for when I picked it up, which, you know, doesn't really speak to the quality of the writing or anything like that, but it was what I wanted when I picked it up. And it kind of has Studio Ghibli vibes, so that gets extra points too. All right, this next one may shock you and longtime viewers of the channel. It is Well Met by Jen DeLuca, and it is a contemporary romance, which is not my genre at all. I don't like contemporary romance. However, I have found a loophole to enjoying contemporary romance. This one is set at the Renaissance Festival. This was a really fun book. This one is also an adult one, and there is spice in it. But I really like that it was contained to just like 1 or 2 chapters, and the chapters weren't super important to the rest of the plot, so you could just skip over those, which I appreciate in a romance novel if I am going to be reading romance. But it was set at a Renaissance Festival in Maryland, not the Maryland Renaissance Festival. It's set in a made-up one for a small town. But the main character, she kind of gets conned into volunteering to help with this little local Renaissance festival. And the man, he and she don't get along. He's kind of a stick in the mud. But then she sees him in a pirate costume, and it all kind of, you know, it's a contemporary romance, but with a pirate guy. So you can see the appeal. Okay, the next one, I don't know if it's actually 5 stars, but I enjoyed it. 5 stars worth of, I got 5 stars worth of enjoyment out of it. And that is The Goblin's Bride by R.L. Medina. This is the 3rd book in the Silveri Sisters series. The first one is The Fae's Bride, and the second one is The Warlock's Bride, I think. But the series is set in a world that is kind of like Italy, but imagined and magical. And this one is about the 3rd sister, and she's a baker, and there is a grumpy half-goblin man who moves into their town bakery, and because his father was the baker and he is estranged from his father, but he has to come and like sell the bakery and everything, and so she's helping them tidy everything up or keep it running maybe. And And then there's a little romance in here as well. I don't know what was so great about this one, but I just had the best time reading it, more so than the first two books. Like the first book got me hooked on the series purely because of the setting. I actually have a review for that one on my blog. And the second book I was kind of like, meh, maybe I don't really care about this series all that much. But then this one I'm like, it's so cute. It's so cute and cozy. So then this next one was actually also on my list of my top reads for 2024 that I never put out there anywheres because I forgot. But it was, I read it last December and then I reread it this summer because the sequel came out this summer. And then I read the sequel this fall because it's set in fall. But I love this series so much, and there's only 2 books out, and that's I'm waiting for the third one with such excitement. And if you know me in real life, I have probably already talked your ear off about this series. The first one is A Curse Unspeakable by Morgan I. Gerhardt. I love this book so much. It's so good. It's so good. It's a fantasy. I can't get into the details because I will be talking about it for forever, but I have a whole review of it on my blog. It's so good. It's so good. And look at the pretty art. Look at the pretty art for the cover. And then the sequel just came out in July. This is the prettiest book cover I've ever seen in my life. I love it so, so much. This is the sequel, and it's just as good as the first one. It's just as good as the first one, and I need the third one immediately. It's so good. It's so, so good, and I can't get into details or we'll be here for hours. So go look it up yourself. And then we're getting to the end of the list here. The next one is The Thorns Remain by J.J.A. Harwood. This one is set in Scotland right after World War I, and it is set kind of in March, April, and I read it in April, which was perfect timing. I really had perfect timing picking up these books this year. I don't know how I managed that, but it was good. Good timing for me. This one is kind of dark, very mysterious, very much like evil fae vibes. So if you're looking for something with evil, wicked, scary fae, this is the book for you. It's about a girl in this village in Scotland right after World War I, and she's sad. Her village is sad. Everybody's sad. A world war just happened, and the Spanish flu is breaking out. Everything's sad. And then all of her friends get kidnapped by the Fae. So it continues to be sad, but in a really interesting way. I just thought this book was so beautiful, and I think about it all the time. I read this back in April, and I'll still be thinking about it all the time. Like something will pop up and I'll be like, oh yeah, just like in The Thorns Remain. Or I'll just be like, yeah, remember in The Thorns Remain when that happened? Really good book. It has stuck with me all year long. I kind of want to read it again this spring because it's set right before, like the deadline for her to get her friends back is May Day. So reading it in that like 2-month period before May 1st is really good. Okay, I lied. You are actually going to get to hear what my favorite book of 2025 was. And that was Bad Badger, A Love Story by Mary Rose Wood. This is a juvenile book. It's illustrated. Let me find you an illustration. I have talked about it before on this channel, on my blog. I've reviewed it. I talked about it on TikTok, I think, too. I was having a really, really bad day back this spring. I read this in April, which is when this book was set. Somehow I got the timing right again. Back in April, I was taking a math class, which is just a bad time in general. And I had a quiz, and I was pretty sure that I bombed the quiz because I did not know anything. Turns out later that I got 90% on it, so I didn't bomb the quiz, but I sure felt like I did that day, and I was trying really hard not to cry in class, and luckily, as soon as you finish with a quiz, you could just get up and leave. And so I was holding back tears. It was a rough class period, and then, I finished my quiz, and I ran out to my car. I started like bawling in my car, And I don't know why, I was just having a bad time mentally at that point, and I had to go to work after that. And I could not contemplate going to work. Like, the idea of going to work without just sobbing the whole day, I just couldn't do it. And so I took a mental health day and I went to Barnes & Noble, and this was on the staff picks table in the children's section. And I just kind of picked it up on a whim because anytime I see woodland creatures in clothes, it's kind of an instant buy. And so I took it home, and you know, everybody jokes that like buying books and reading books are two separate hobbies, and that's kind of true. And so I got home and I was fully prepared to just put it on my shelf and read it a few years from now, I don't know. But I opened it up and I started reading it. I read like the first couple of pages, and then I sat down, and for the next 3 hours I just read this book. And it brightened my day so much. It just made me so happy. It's so wholesome and sweet and just adorable. I don't think that kids would actually like this book. I don't think it's a good kids book because there's not that much that happens in it. It's kind of slow. But for an adult who is having a really bad day, this was such an excellent book, and it soothed me, it calmed me down, and the next day I was just ready to go. I was off, I was happy, everything was fine. And this book had a lot to do with that. It's so cozy. I recommend reading it in April when it's set, because it just has kind of spring seaside vibes. But it's about a badger who's not very good at being a badger because he listens to opera and he drinks tea and he really likes focaccia bread and cheese. And then he makes friends with a seagull, and the seagull is very different from the badger, but then they become good friends. And it's very sweet, and I should stop talking about it because we'll be here all day. This video is already really long, but I also wanted to take a moment to share some other things I have been obsessed with this year that are not books, but maybe book adjacent, just other media, basically, other stories that I've consumed. So yeah, but the first one is technically books. I recently discovered an artist, an illustrator, and her name is Devin L. Kurtz. This is her like art book of, it's the art of Devin L. Kurtz. So this one is more for adults, and it just kind of goes over her art process. I haven't read all of it yet, but I had to get it because I love her artwork so much. She illustrated and wrote this picture book called The Bakery Dragon, which I love so much. It's so cute. It's about a dragon who is not big enough to steal gold, who's not like sneaky enough to steal gold. And one rainy day, the dragon ends up in a bakery and learns how to make gold. And it's so cute. And then this illustrator also illustrated this book, which is the book that led me to realize that this illustrator had also illustrated Bakery Dragon, because I had heard of the Bakery Dragon before and loved the illustrations, but didn't know who the illustrator was, didn't really pay attention. But then I read this one, which has gorgeous artwork, and I was like, who is this illustrator? This illustrator's amazing. And then found out that it was the same illustrator of the Bakery Dragon, as well as the illustrator of several book covers that I love. And she also did the art for this game, this board game that I have not played yet. I know, terrible. But it's called A Midsummer's Night Fair. And look at the gorgeous artwork. It's so beautiful. I can't wait to play this. I need to find some friends to play it with me. I'm sure I won't be hard pressed to find friends who will play board game with me. But anyway, so I'm just a little bit obsessed with the artwork of Devin L. Kurtz. And I encourage you to check out her website because it has so many beautiful things on it. Okay, and then next is technically a podcast, which if you know me, you know that I don't listen to podcasts. I just don't like them. But I say technically a podcast because it's really more of an audio drama. It's a story in episodes, And it kind of reminds me of, I mean, nothing about the content reminds me of this, just the listening to an audio drama reminds me of when I was a kid and my brother and I used to listen to Adventures in Odyssey. All the Christian homeschool kids will know what I'm talking about. But this is not similar to Adventures in Odyssey at all, but it kind of is like that format, if you're familiar with that. Like radio dramas from ye olden days. But the Bardic Hearth, so good. Oh, it's so good. It's put together by this guy named Chase Noseworthy, and I love his music also. But the fun thing about the Bardic Hearth is you get a story that's kind of set in a world that is inspired by like Dungeons and Dragons. Like it has all the classes and things, and I don't know enough about Dungeons and Dragons to go comparing it, but I know that it is in a world inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. Each episode has a different story, technically. It's these travelers who are looking for the goddess of death's wishing well in like deadly woods. There's this deadly forest and they're looking for this wishing well. But on the way, they always come across this tavern that is run by a bard, and he's always looking for stories. And so he says, okay, you know what, have a drink, relax for a little bit, tell me what brought you to the wishing well. And so each episode seems like it's not really connected, but there's definitely a connection there. Everything is actually connected. And there's also mini episodes in between each episode, like 5-minute episodes, about this random girl who's studying magic and her professor, and they're trying to find out what happened to somebody. We don't know, because it keeps being redacted by the magic. Like there's some name that they're looking for, but it's like redacted and you can't hear what it is. And so you're not sure quite how this girl who's studying magic is connected to the bardic, like to the tavern, but there's a connection. And it's so good. It's so freaking good. And each episode ends with an original song by Chase Noseworthy that relates to the episode. So you get like this incredible audio drama with like top tier voice acting. And then afterwards you get a song inspired by it too. It's so good. And the second season doesn't come out till the end of March, which has me losing my mind just a little bit thinking about how long away that is, but it'll be fine. Anyway, highly recommend the Bardic Hearth. Definitely, he has like trigger warnings at the beginning of each episode, so there are definitely a few things to be aware of. I think it was the second episode that was like kind of horrifying. There's one where there's these like screaming creatures that tear people apart and then display the bodies, and you'd think, oh, how bad can that be? It's just being described. It's just audio. It's pretty bad. It's pretty scary. And I recognize that I scare easily, but other audio related things, there's 2 CDs that I want to share with you that I have really enjoyed this year. The first is Wakefire. This is their CD called Meaning of Life. I learned about Wakefire last year. They came to the Des Moines Renaissance Festival, and I heard them there, and I bought one of their CDs and had been listening to it on repeat all year long. And then this year at the Des Moines Renaissance Festival, I got 2 more of their CDs, including this one. I think this might be my favorite of the 3. It's really good. Just like, it's kind of rock, but also folk, but like with Renaissance vibes and good like storytelling to it. It's hard to explain, but I really enjoyed it a lot. And it has a cover of Touch the Sky from Brave on it, so that's pretty cool. And then the other CD that I have been absolutely obsessed with this year is, it's called Jackalope Tales by Low and the High Road. So good. I came across this on TikTok. The artist had posted a video about one of the songs, which is called Kitten in the Corn. And that song was just pure delight to listen to. And the music video for the song has a bunch of kittens, like cats that people sent in videos of their cats. And so the music video is delightful as well. And then the artist had posted that they sell CDs, and I think they also sell vinyls. and I love to listen to CDs in my car. And so I had to order the CD, and like, look at the artwork, so cute. But then look at this. The song list is a map, because all of the songs are like stories basically. And so it's kind of like a map to show you where all the stories are. There's more artwork on the actual CD itself. Just so cute. It's so cute. And anyway, all of their songs are available on Spotify and YouTube. So it's also like folk music with Renaissance vibes. So I highly recommend that you go check them out. My favorites on the CD are all of them. But I really, Kitten in the Corn is fantastic. But I also really like The Maid on the Shore, which is it's so good. And their cover of The Star of the County Down is really good. It's really good music, and I encourage you to go check them out. And I did not really watch a lot of movies this year, I realized. I was trying to think back about like any movies that I had watched, and I rewatched like the Tinkerbell movies, which was really fun. And I know I watched other movies, but the one that I am leaving 2025 obsessed with is the new Knives Out movie, Wake Up Dead Man. So good. I recently rewatched Knives Out and then the sequel Glass Onion, and which my brothers don't like Glass Onion, but I thought it was really good. But I recently rewatched those, not even in preparation for the new one. The first one I just watched on a whim one night because I have it on DVD. And then I was looking up something about it and then realized that there was a third one coming out. And so I rewatched the second one, and then the third one just came out in the beginning of December. So good. Oh my gosh, so good. It was really impactful to me because it was talking a lot about Christianity in it. And I know that there is good reason why in media Christianity is not always portrayed very well. It's because there is a lot of hurt that comes from the church. There's a lot of people who have a lot of trauma tied up with the church, and there are a lot of people who say they're Christians who hurt people a lot. And so I know that there's like a good reason why there are not a lot of good portrayals of Christianity in like Hollywood movies. This movie, however, Wake Up Dead Man, had such a good portrayal of my faith, and it meant a lot to me. It was really cool to see. There's a character in it who, you know, he really talks about what it means to be a Christian in a world like our world, where everything is just kind of falling apart all the time, and people are at each other's throats all the time, and you know, people are fighting for this reason, people are fighting for this reason. This group says do this group says do this. And it was really cool to see in like a movie that you're not really expecting that kind of portrayal to be in, have like a really good depiction of Christianity in it, and that was really meaningful to me, and I think about it a lot. And just like the entire cast did such a good job, and it's a good movie too. Like it's not just a good portrayal of Christianity, it's just a good movie. Like the murder mystery is super interesting and intricate, like Knives Out movies are, and Benoit Blanc is in it, and it was just so good. The ensemble cast was, you know, just amazing, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, now that this video is like a million years long, I should probably wrap it up, but I just wanted to share all of the things that I have been enjoying, or the things that I enjoyed in 2025. What were some of your favorite books or movies or TV shows or music or audio that you listened to, watched, read, whatever, last year? Or what are some of the things that you're looking forward to in 2026? I have quite a list of things that I am hoping to get to this year, which maybe I'll post that at some point, but who knows. Anyway, I don't really know how to end a video, so bye!